I had always been drawn to the strange and eerie, which is why I found myself standing in front of the old mental asylum on the edge of town. The building loomed over us, its dark silhouette outlined by the dim street lights that flickered nervously. The place was ancient, abandoned for years, its history soaked in whispers of tortured souls and dark secrets. The ghost tour was supposed to be a fun thrill, a way to indulge my fascination with the paranormal without actually getting hurt. The guide, a woman named Megan, had been talking up the asylum's haunted history ever since we gathered in the parking lot. She'd mentioned a few interesting stories, but the way she spoke made it clear she wasn't just reciting facts, she believed in them, and something about her eyes, the way they glinted with excitement, made me feel uneasy in a way I couldn't quite explain. We entered the asylum, and immediately the air shifted. It wasn't just the musty smell or the way the floorboards creaked beneath our feet. It was something deeper, like the building itself was alive, watching us. The walls were lined with peeling wallpaper, and long, crooked hallways stretched in all directions. Megan led us through the darkened halls, her flashlight cutting through the thick blackness. She told stories about patients who had died here under horrific conditions, about the cruel experiments they'd been subjected to. She seemed almost too enthusiastic, like she was savoring every word. Some say the spirits of the patients still walk these halls, she said with a grin, and sometimes they don't like visitors. At first, I thought it was all just part of the show. The air was thick with tension, but I chalked it up to the creepy ambiance, the flickering lights, the creaking of old metal doors, and the way the wind whistled through the cracked windows. It was all standard ghost tour fare. But then something happened that made my heart drop into my stomach. We were standing in the middle of a large room, one of the former therapy areas. Megan was explaining how patients had been subjected to electroshock therapy and lobotomies when I noticed it. A sound, a low, dragging thump, thump, thump. It was coming from the hallway behind us. I turned, expecting to see another group member getting too close to a door, maybe tripping or stumbling, but no one was there. The thumping grew louder, more urgent, as though someone, was dragging their feet across the floor. "Did you hear that?" I whispered to the person next to me, a woman who was clutching her phone tightly, her eyes wide. She nodded, her face pale. "Yeah, it's coming from down there." Megan turned, sensing the shift in mood. I see you've heard it too," she said with a twisted smile. "That's the sound of the patients who never left." A chill ran down my spine. We all stood frozen for a moment, the air so still that it felt like the building itself was holding its breath. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the thumping stopped. Silence. Pure, suffocating silence. Megan smiled, though there was something in her expression now that seemed less fun and more unsettling. "All right, folks. Let's keep moving. This way." Reluctantly, we followed her down the hall, our footsteps echoing in the eerie quiet. I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone anymore. It was like the walls were watching, like every shadow stretched longer, waiting for something to happen. We reached a narrow staircase that led to the lower levels of the asylum. Megan informed us that this was where the most unusual things had been reported. She paused dramatically before pulling open a rusted door at the bottom of the stairs. "I'd be careful down here, folks," she said, her voice low. "Some of the spirits down here aren't as welcoming. They like to play games." The air down here was thick, colder than the rest of the building. The walls were scarred, covered in grime and graffiti, as if someone had tried to leave their mark. Maybe the patients, maybe the staff. It felt wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it, but everything felt wrong. That's when the door slammed shut behind us. I didn't see it happen, but I heard it. A loud bang that made everyone jump. The room went dark as the flashlight flickered, casting shadows across the walls. We were plunged into a suffocating blackness, and for a moment I thought the world had just stopped. Okay, okay, don't panic, Megan said, trying to calm us, but there was something in her voice that didn't sound right. I'm sure it's just a draft or something. Let's just stay together. But her words didn't reassure me. I could feel it now, a presence in the dark. Something was moving. The cold in the air wasn't natural. It wasn't just the temperature drop. It felt like something alive brushing against my skin. A whisper broke through the silence. I couldn't make out the words, but it was a voice. Not Megan's. Not anyone else's. Leave. Now. I nearly jumped out of my skin, spinning around to find the source of the voice, but there was no one there. Just the darkness. The heavy, suffocating air and the sound of my own ragged breathing. Did anyone else hear that? I gasped. Megan's face had drained of color. Her usual cocky grin was gone. No. No, that wasn't supposed to happen. The whisper came again, this time louder. Leave. The voice was close. So close it felt like someone was standing right behind me. Before I could react, the room seemed to shift. The walls groaned, the floors creaked underfoot, and the temperature plummeted. My breath misted in front of me, and the flashlight flickered wildly, casting long, twisted shadows. I could feel something moving in the dark. Something wrong. Get out! Now! Megan screamed, her voice filled with panic. But as we turned to head back to the stairs, the door we had come through was gone. Just gone. A solid wall where it had been seconds before. I was trapped. My heart hammered in my chest as I backed away from the wall, the shadows closing in. The whispers grew louder, more frantic. Leave, 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 and then the walls started to move. Slowly at first, then faster, as if something unseen was pushing against them, bending them toward us. There was no time to think. We ran. We bolted back toward the staircase, but the building seemed to stretch, growing darker with every step. The stairs disappeared beneath our feet as the ground buckled and cracked. We finally found the door to the outside, and Megan was screaming at us to go. As we pushed through the door into the night air, I looked back just once, and for a split second I swear I saw something. Someone standing in the doorway watching us, a pale face, hollow eyes, lips twisted in a silent scream. I've never run so fast in my life. The ghost tour was supposed to be fun, a thrill, something to write about. But it wasn't just a tour anymore, it was real. The building knew we were there, and it wasn't happy we had come. I haven't written a word about it on my blog. I don't know if I ever will. Some things are better left in the dark.